Other news, National Assembly approves 2.17 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget. EFCC reviews operational guidelines across states, bans sting operation at night. And Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu commissions Yaba Overpass Bridge for Red Line project. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I am Simisola Ajigun. The National Assembly has successfully passed the 2.17 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget transmitted to the Parliament by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday. The budget was approved following the adoption of a report by the Appropriations Committee presented by the Chairman, Senator Adiola Olamilekan, during plenary. According to him, the successful passage of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill underscores the Senate's commitment to addressing the evolving fiscal needs of the nation and ensuring the judicious allocation of funds where they are most needed.
Of the total sum of 2,176,791,286,033 naira, only of which 18 billion naira only is for statutory transfers, 1,033,471,162,373 naira is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 1,125,320,123 million, 1,125,323,123,660 million naira only is for contributions to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2023.
In a related development, the House of Representatives has also approved budgets for the nation's security agencies, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the Ministry of Works, Agriculture, Housing and others. The approval is sequel to the supplementary budget submitted to the House by President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday.
After the bill had scaled the first and second reading, the lawmakers invited the heads of the concerned ministries to defend their budgets because of the urgency required. In the budget, defense gets the largest chunk with 470 billion naira, followed by the Ministry of Works with 300 billion naira. Next is agriculture with 200 billion naira. FCT gets 100 billion naira. 100 billion naira goes to housing. Police gets 50 billion naira, and the Independent National Electoral Commission received 18 billion naira to complete its preparation for the off-cycle election in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states.
791,286,033 supplementary appropriation bill to the National Assembly earlier this week. The House has sent the bill to the Appropriation Committee for further deliberation and considerations. The bill has been specifically structured to improve the country's security, food security, and critical road infrastructure and bridge the housing deficit in the country.
I've heard my minister's request. We met and discussed on the supplementary budget together. Our request was 300 and something billion, but the president approved 100 billion to FCT.
The ministers had to respond to the Committee on Appropriation questions on their budgetary allocations.
Some of these ongoing projects are, interwoven with some critical new projects that we want to add, and there's some projects that have been abandoned in the past 20 years. So Mr. President directed that we should bring all of them on board, and that is going to cost about 11 trillion. So on the whole, to address our road sector for the next 4 years, we'll be needing about 18.6 trillion.
Talk about the completion of rehabilitation and take off Abuja rail project. You'll agree with me that this one project that Mr. President takes so important and which would help in decongesting our traffic situation. I've been there as I came on board, and Mr. President directed the day the Nigerian Bar Association held the annual conference that he wants to ride on this metro line at least in his 1 year in office, and which is a major if we can achieve it, and which we think with your support we are going to achieve it.
We have the coming rainy season for 2024. We all know that planning ahead of time is the key to whatever success that you want to achieve for any farming season. In the past, budgets are passed and procurement processes takes time and until the late hour or even beyond the planting season. So what we need to do now today is to plan way ahead so that we will have all our inputs, all our preparations and implements and infrastructure ready in place before the next rainy season for 2024.
After the grilling, the ministers get an all-clear nod of approval. However, the grilling of security chiefs and the police was done in a closed-door session for security reasons as announced by the appropriation chairman.
Still on the 2023 supplementary budget, following widespread criticism, the controversial 5 billion naira presidential yacht has been removed from total allocations. After the passage of the budget, Chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Abubakar Bichi, spoke with journalists and announced that the controversial presidential yacht was removed by the committee. He added that the 5 billion naira has been moved to the student loans.
We have increased their budget from 456 to 546 billion 209,099,671. So then police formation and command will give them 50 billion, while the FCT they have about 100 billion naira. FCT is very important because we want to make sure FCT can compete with any city in the world. That's why we have decided to give them 100 billion naira. While Office of the National Security, we know how important that office is. Initially, the initial budget was 27 billion, but currently we have increased their budget to 50 billion naira. So far, we have approved the sum of 2,176,791,286,033 naira only. So this is what we did today, and we will continue to do as much as we can to support our Nigeria, to support the government, so that our people can see the importance for this democracy as well. As far as we are concerned, we don't have that percentage anymore. We have increased the student loan. If you can recall, student loan was 5 billion naira in the budget, but now we have increased it from 5 to 10 billion so that our students can be able to access that facility in order for them to go to school and to be affordable for them. This is what we do actually.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has reiterated its unwavering commitment to uphold the rule of law in the execution of its responsibilities while emphasizing its commitment to the public. To this end, Chairman of the Anti-Graft Agency, Ola Olukoyede, has taken a significant step by ordering a ban on nighttime sting operations across all the commands of the Commission, which he says is in line with the recently revised protocols governing the arrest and release of suspects. Olukoyede's directive comes in response to the arrest of 69 suspected internet fraudsters by operatives of the Ibadan Zonal Commission in Ile-Ife, Osun State. Olukoyede says this decision underscores the EFCC's dedication to maintaining a lawful and accountable approach in its operations. To discuss this new directive by the EFCC, security and risk expert Onyekachi Adekoya joins me on the news. Thank you for sparing your time. Now, what are your thoughts on the OAU students EFCC raid? Do you think that the move was counterproductive?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and good evening to the viewers. You must understand that in most of the states in Nigeria, particularly in the south, there is now the growing menace of what you call Yahoo boys, and so, some young people suspected to be involved in some of these things. Of course, you would have seen on the TV and in the news a case of a undergraduate student, 300 level in Port Harcourt. The other day was another lady. So there are a number of these cases growing. I wouldn't say it was a complete waste, and not that I completely agree with the modus, because sometimes there have also been reported cases of shakedowns happening by some of the government security forces. But where there is cause to suspect that some activities which are shady are occurring, then the commission or the police may conduct a sting operation. So we don't have the facts of the case. We're not sure what they were chasing and what leads they were following up on. So it's difficult to say what exactly the facts of the case are.
Right now, briefly, following the move by the EFCC to stop nighttime stings, what other moves can anti-graft agencies in the country take that will, in the end, not result in somewhat a reputational damage?
Yeah, I don't think there's particularly reputational damage. We can understand if there's a new EFCC chairman and who wants to set the right tonality for the organization, as it were. There would still be some nighttime raids if the exigencies of the case permits and proper authorizations and waivers are gotten. So that will still happen. I think the biggest problem for the EFCC is the problem of the enabling law, the competency of their prosecuting counsel, the congestion of the courts, then the quality of the evidence they bring to court. So I think the biggest challenge would be in terms of the capacity of the personnel of the EFCC to continue to specialize and get specialist training to be able to do a proper, thorough job before coming to court. So the matter just doesn't go away by public announcements. There are deep-seated challenges that the commission has, even challenges of resource and manpower, that must be addressed before we begin to look at the optics of the nighttime operations.
All right, that'll be all security and risk expert Onyekachi Adekoya. Thank you for speaking with us. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says his administration remains committed to developing sustainable solutions to the transportation challenges along the major transit spines in Lagos State. Sanwo-Olu made the remark on Thursday while formally commissioning the Yaba Overpass Bridge for use of people and for the progress of Lagos State. Speaking at the event, which had traditional leaders, politicians, and government functionaries, the governor said the sustainable solutions would give relief to the people by reducing congestion, improving travel time, as well as the cost of commuting. The governor further appealed to Lagosians to take care of the infrastructure while he sounded a note of warning to traders to steer clear of the bridge.
Dear Lagosians, without any out of doubt, we have remained focused in our commitment to developing a sustainable solution in our public transportation challenge along major transit spines with a view to giving relief to our teeming population by reducing traffic congestion, improving travel times, as well as commuting between one part of a city to another. You have seen that various parts of the city is currently receiving attention. This bridge is not a marketplace. It is for pedestrian and vehicular movement. The steps, the ramps, the sidewalks, the overpass are not marketplaces. They are for pedestrian movement and for vehicular movement. Our law enforcement agents have been given strict instructions to ensure that there is zero tolerance for any of the misuse of this facility. And therefore want to use this opportunity to also sound a last warning to people that are trading on the rail tracks. The rail tracks are not marketplaces. The rail tracks are for train to move upon. And we will be walling off all pedestrian movement along the rail tracks.
Nigeria's rising food inflation is causing millions of rural people, especially in conflict zones of the northeast of the country, to battle serious cases of hunger and malnutrition due to their lack of access to food. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, says it has been recording a steady increase in the number of admissions of children under the age of 5 suffering from severe acute malnutrition in its supported health facilities in the northeast. As of August 2023, 1.53 million children under 5 were reported to be acutely malnourished in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. TV360 special correspondent Deji Badimosi has more on this story.
All the babies in this medical facility in the town of Biu in Nigeria's northeast Borno state suffer from one thing: severe acute malnutrition. The International Committee of the Red Cross, which supports the facility, says the number of new admission of children under the age of 5 is rising rapidly.
We receive an average of 10 to 15 patients on a daily basis being admitted into the stabilization center. The patients we are receiving here at the SC comes from within the host community and also from outside the host community. These patients are sometimes IDPs and also patients coming from the community. The center has, been quite successful, where we've been, recording discharge rate or cured rates of 80 to 90% and a mortality rate of less than 10%. So with this, I can say this center has been, successful in treating severe acute malnutrition.
While the center may be making progress with treatment, the sheer number of admission is worrisome. Millions of displaced people in the northeast were already facing a dire strait as a result of the long conflict in the region. But recent government economic measures like the removal of petrol subsidy and the continued depreciation of the local currency have worsened their situation, causing a steep spike in inflation.
Rising prices of fuel has increased the cost of transport. We used to carry each bag of grains to Maiduguri at the rate of 1,300 naira, but now it is more than double. How can you run the business? To feed your family and continue with the business, if you plead for a price reduction with the drivers, they will tell you prices of fuel has gone up. For this business, things have changed. Cost of foodstuffs has gone up as well as cost of transport. Before now, a bag of maize sold for 40,000 naira, but now it sells at 70,000 naira. We're selling one measure between 400 naira to 500 naira, but now it sells between 1,000 naira and 1,200 naira due to the high cost of fuel. If we complain to the drivers, they will say fuel prices as well as motor spare parts are now high.
Access to food remains a big problem in the region, which used to be one of the country's food baskets. The conflict has forced many to abandon their farms, leading to severe food shortage, which is aggravating the malnutrition crisis in the region. The UN estimates that around 4.3 million people in the troubled part of Nigeria are in need of food assistance.
We're eating 2 to 3 times daily, but now we have difficulties in having breakfast. Not to talk of water for drinking. Our children have been sent back from school because we could not pay for their books. If we try to go to the villages, we would be attacked. So we leave everything in the hands of God. We're seeking for government to come to our support. If they come to our aid, then we'll be thankful. But right now, we don't know what to do.
If you ask anyone in the city or outreach area, they will clearly tell you that they need food. The situation is unfortunately getting worse and worse. Need is huge, especially food need. Day to day, the rate of malnutrition is increasing. people are struggling to access to diversified and nutritious food. Despite the effort made to improve access to nutritious and diversified food, but many people, especially children, are suffering and experiencing malnutrition related disease.
The ICRC, in partnership with the Nigerian Red Cross Society, says it's been helping to ameliorate the situation. It's been providing the most vulnerable in the region with cash to buy food or start small businesses. More than 13,000 families have benefited from the cash assistance initiative this year alone. 41,000 farming families have also received staple and cash crop seeds to improve food production during the rainy season, while 57,000 people, including pregnant and lactating women and children under 5, have received food rations and supplementary feeding to prevent malnutrition. But much more still needs to be done to address the malnutrition challenge in Nigeria's northeast region. Deji Bademasi, TV 360, Northeast Nigeria.
We'll take a break now, but still to come, U.S. President Joe Biden calls for pause in Israel's war in Gaza for the first time. Stay with us for details. We'll be right back. Welcome. A quick recap of our top stories. The National Assembly has successfully passed the 2.17 trillion naira 2023 appropriation bill after the third reading. The budget was approved following the adoption of a report by the Appropriations Committee presented by the chairman, Senator Adeola Olamilekan, during plenary. According to him, the successful passage of the supplementary appropriation bill underscores the Senate's commitment to addressing the evolving fiscal needs of the nation and ensuring the judicious allocation of funds where they are most needed. We also told you that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says his administration remains committed to developing sustainable solutions to the transportation challenges along the major transit spines in Lagos State. Governor Sanwo-Olu made the remark on Thursday while formally commissioning the Yaba Overpass Bridge for use of commuters and for the progress of Lagos State. Speaking at the event, which had traditional leaders, politicians and government functionaries, the governor says the sustainable solutions would give relief to the people by reducing congestion, improving travel time, as well as the cost of commuting. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store and Huawei App Gallery. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Well, let's now join Tamilore Akinkuolie for more stories on business. What's the latest, Tamilore?
Thank you, Simisola. On business, the World Bank has committed over $11 billion in the past 3 years to the Nigerian government at both the federal and sub-national levels. This is according to the institution's country director for Nigeria, Shubham Chowdhury, while speaking at the opening of a 3-day cabinet retreat for ministers, presidential aides, permanent secretaries and top government functionaries at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. Chowdhury also said Nigeria is at a critical junction, assured President Bola Tinubu of the bank support in his administration's challenging task of lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty.
We are the World Bank, we're a development organization. Over the last 3.5 years 4 years that I've been here, our board has committed, approved over $11 billion in financing for the government. Our financing is meant to go for government at both the federal and at the subnational levels. So we're here to support your programs. We take your guidance from you. But even though we have the word bank in our names, I hope you will think of us as more than a bank. Our real hope is that you will trust us and that we will be able to earn your trust, that we have something more to offer in the nature of solutions to help you think through and then implement the priorities, the focus areas that you've laid out by bringing in ideas and experience. Financing is only part of the solution. It's really the ideas and the vision.
We're going to break and be back with Stock Market Report. Investors lost $296 billion as Nigeria's equities market on Thursday recorded its first decline this month by 0.76%. The market breadth ended at 26 gainers against 28 losers. At the end of trading, Champs topped the losers chart, closing at ₦2.20 per shares, followed closely by international bureaus, leading to a combined loss of 64 kobo. Compared with the previous NGX trading day, today's data shows investors traded 525 million volumes of shares valued at over 6 billion naira and exchanged in 8,396 deals. Now to our select global stocks, the global index maintained its positive trading from previous day trading after the U.S. Federal Reserve left interest rates steady, leaving all stocks in the bulls. And that's all on our business and stock market report. Back to you, Simisola, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Tamilare, for that update. And for the first time since the beginning of the Israel-Gaza war, U.S. President Joe Biden has voiced support for a humanitarian pause as the United States presses to evacuate all Americans trapped in the besieged Palestinian enclave. Negotiations to free 239 hostages, including children and the elderly, have continued since Hamas' October 7 terrorist attack killed about 1,400 people in Israel. After Hamas breached Israel's border wall, other groups from Gaza seized additional captives. The U.S. President's remarks mark a shift in the position of the White House, which has previously said it would not dictate how Israel conducts its military operations. Finally, on sport, Rwanda's national team has appointed Thorsten Splitter Frank as the new head coach of the Amavubi. The Rwanda Football Association announced Splitter's appointment in a communique on their X handle. Frank replaces Carlos Alos Ferrer, who left the post on August 8, 2023, after failing to qualify Rwanda for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations following a 2-0 loss to Mozambique. Rwanda will first meet the Super Eagles in the World Cup qualifiers in March 2025 before traveling to Nigeria for the second leg in September 2025. Other teams in Group C are South Africa, Benin Republic, Lesotho, and Zimbabwe. Well, that's all on News Now. Thank you for staying with us. Bye for now.